Within our brain, we're transmuting information to all of our living cells residing in our nervous system, connected with our brain and spinal cord that connects both energies that can transmute and create synaptic connections, motor functions, and how we rationally think, how we cognitively think, how we use our conscious and our unconscious. So our unconscious is the nervous system, all the cells operating together to communicate information and move physically and internally those energetical flows of liquid in our body to function, to prevent physical manifestations of internal blockages within. That's emotional weight. And the trauma we hold within manifests externally. Understanding the shadow aspect of ourselves and how our thoughts really does shape and affect our body, but it's an unconscious process that takes place through years. It's not a good or bad thing. Our parents, our environmental factors, they were just programmed to me that way. They were just programmed to believe those beliefs, and it becomes this unconscious collective shadow traits that we're all following these cultural beliefs, and we're pushing that to our children, or we're pushing that to our community, creating more energetical weight over that belief. And that's the collective unconscious. It's what Jung talked about and focused. How did the collective unconscious of external beliefs affected my inner sense of being, my soul path, my unique individuation? So instead of just focusing on the conscious side and being unaware of everything we repress, how do we look at psychology from an evolutionary standpoint instead of focusing on staying stuck on those memories, on those habitual states of being, and talking about it and keep repeating it and seeking externally for explanation of what's going internally. Repeating the same memories in our brain, causing and evoking the same feelings and emotions and thoughts, manifesting the same events that are caused by our brain, stemming from our thoughts, how we use our thinking brain, how we use our neocortex, all correlate to thinking outside of our state of being, thinking outside of that mood. Thoughts are the language of the mind, the feelings are the language of the body, and the emotions are the language of the heart. The more we decode and break down what we're manifesting from inward to outward, the more we can understand ourselves and see those patterns and tap into our unconscious self in compassionate ways, in unique individuation ways, where it's a process from going internally and not being scared to tapping into those darker aspects of your state of being. That's the whole purpose. You're not going to understand where it's stemming from. So don't be scared of that darkness, of those unconscious thoughts. Question them. Don't repress them. The more we subconsciously tap into these energies within us, the more we start to listen to ourselves, the more we understand those things we keep repeating to ourselves. So do we ever keep ourselves in check, or are we unconsciously running this systematic ways of thinking, feeling, and being, repeating habits that don't resonate with the version of what we want to become? The more we go deeper into the aspects of our unconscious that were repressed into our subconscious, creating a shadow aspect of ourselves, as Jung used to talk about, the shadow self. It's a deeper aspect of ourselves that just wants to be seen, that wants to be recognized by yourself, by your egotistical ways, by your external events that shaped and geared you away from your state of being that you wanted to be in at that moment, or whatever you perceived that wasn't aligned with the situation you had in mind. You keep repeating those patterns of the things you could have done differently to change that situation. You keep making that situation bigger and bigger, adding up memories and unconsciously going into these illusory possibilities of a past memory, a past traumatic event that influenced you so much that you're unconsciously thinking in resonant ways in your everyday. It's a really complex process of understanding your psyche, and a great tool that has helped me do that, understanding my shadow self, understanding different aspects of myself that I can start to recognize and tune into and see if I resonate with those energies. with those archetypes, with those aspects shaping my 360 cosmical life, energies, factors, elements, whatever you want to call it. The misconception of astrology that we confuse it with science, with precision, but it's more psychological philosophy of your soul. What's the wisdom your soul has to attain in a 360 practical way? It gives you like an individual map, but to be able to judge it, to be able to understand it, to be able to give it a chance, you have to understand the many aspects of it and how the real process to understand it. You have to be able to give yourself that space to open yourself up to the possible energies that you might be hiding. Astrology gives you that sense of inner guidance where you see yourself, and it's like a reassurance. And if you're not seeing it like that, you might have a lot of shadow self aspects that you are not recognizing, or external beliefs that are blocking you. Maybe it's a possibility. If you want to resonate with it or not, people find many ways to understand their individual path. Jung talked a lot about the archetypal structures that we abide by, depending on the mystical stories we tell ourselves unconsciously, depending on the environment that shaped us from when we were born, all the way to our past ancestral evolutionary timeline. Yeah, there's just many influences we get by our sensory perceptions, and how we internalize that is very subjective, is very depending on our own unique memories. Even memories and even the emotions evoked by memories are subjective, not collective, basic emotions that manifest from those events that affected us. Emotions are so subjective. They're energetical, unique factors that chemically uniquely form inside of your brain and manifest externally as a energetical energy in motion that carries wisdom if you learn to interpret whatever is trying to convey. It's the understanding of what is this situation, what is this language I have to decode from my inner self. It's like an inner thing. It's the mammalian type of autonomic thing that you feel it in your body, in your nervous system. It's trying to signal to you something. So when an emotion comes and it's a triggering one, it's a perceived bad emotion, it's trying to communicate, it's trying to signal to you something. When you see it as a good circumstance, no matter the outcome of the current moment, then you become like an alchemist and learning how to use those energies to see the new possibilities and how to think presently, applying your own energies, applying your present state of being. And when you're present, you're creative, you're in your purest abilities. Yeah, we have 86 billion neurons firing and wiring here. And the more we keep repeating the same ones from our past that reside in our cerebellum, our reptilian brain, which is our habits, our ancestral traits, everything that's below us, our unconscious, super unconscious. And then the limbic system would be like our subconscious, because it's our emotions, our feelings. It's how we process what we interpret in the sensory system, in the sensory perceptions. So how are we interpreting that? And then how are we processing and repeating that? How are we repeating those memories, those thoughts that lead us to those memories that evoke the same feelings and emotions, manifesting the same states of being your mood, your personality, your personal reality. It becomes you. Whatever we feel, whatever we think, however we act is what we become. So the thoughts are the language of the mind, feelings are the language of the body, and emotions are the language of the heart. A really good way to understand that, briefly explaining it through astrology, that has helped me a lot, is the sun is everything we're aware of. In astrology, the sun is the masculine aspect. It's how we act. Going to work, we're doing things, we're actively using our logic, sensory perceptions. In the moon, we're internal. We're eating. We're going to sleep. We're getting ready to go to the unknown, to our dreams. You're either inner or you're feeling with emotions. In astrology, the moon sign is our cycles. We have moon cycles every month. That's why we feel differently every month. As women, we have the period cycles, evoking different feelings within each month individually to our own unique cycle. It's psychological unique aspects of the energetical mathematics of your soul psyche, and that's astrology. So using astrology, we can understand our mood cycles and how to better manage them. The more we understand those traits, the more we can perceive our mood cycles and be prepared for the energetical factors. That would be more like your horoscope. It's understanding the current time, your own unique birth chart. That's like your progressive sun, your progressive moon. It's getting deeper into precision. But astrology, mainly when you get your birth chart, it's mainly getting your blueprint. When you were born, what was your moon, your sun, and your rising? That's the most important, because your moon is your emotions. It's you. It's everything within you. You rest and digest, everything that's subconscious, because you're adapting information from your conscious, which is your sun. So your sun is everything, how you use your logic to adapt those sensory perceptions. Then the moon is how are you internalizing that? How are you digesting that within the body, within the nervous system? By understanding that, then we can move to making that autonomic. Our cerebellum, that's a rising sign. If you think about a car, briefly, the prefrontal, which would be your conscious brain, your sun, that's the wheel, that's you driving the car. Then every mechanism within the car, that's your limbic system. It needs everything to function effectively. That's a nervous system. That's how we manage emotions, that's how we manage external events, that's how we process information. So it's how we manage our cycles, the mood cycles. But then the cerebellum would be correlated with the exterior aspect of the car. What car is it? How does it look like? How is it programmed outside? What is the path it's going? What is the bigger picture? That's your rising sign. That's your ascendant. It's your 360 of life. Your 12 astrological houses represent a different area of your life. From the beginning to the end, where you reach your individuation. And that goes as far as your horoscopes and your every 24-hour day cycles. Going to the deep precision of the horoscopes and applying astronomy, or understanding your psyche, your archetypal stories and the paths and things you can use to understand the individuation in a deeper way. First, understanding this complex being that we are, and our brain is an organ, and we have to learn how to communicate with our heart and use our emotions to evolve from them and attain the wisdom to evolve to new situations, to think in different ways. Instead of disregarding a memory, trying to repress habits, how can we use it presently to evolve, to create new programs in our brain? We're fighting with 95% unconscious. So the sun, the moon, and the rising. The wheel, you're driving the wheel in the car. The mechanisms within the car, the wheel, the motor function, everything that flows in the car, the liquidity, the gas you have to put, that's the nervous system in the car, the limbic mammal brain. And then the cerebellum, the outside of the car, how does it protect itself? Where is it going? What's the bigger picture? What's the car type? How fast is it gonna get there? What's the destination? Depending on the car it has, depending on the exterior, that's how we perceive it exteriorly. So when we look at the rising sign, we can understand our path and the energies in each life situation in the 360 wheel in your birth chart is gonna influence how you perceive life situations, your own unique life situations. So,